All right. Or is he going to give us a countdown?
Oh, yeah, sure. Whenever you guys are ready. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Woo! So is Mega Man X3 any percent? Unlike Mega Man X2 any percent, they will not be getting all of the items. In fact, I think they will only be getting one safety sub-tank, no heart tanks, and the dash boots. The dash boots allow you to do a quick elevator skip in one of the Doppler stages later, and just make for more convenient movement in some places.
Yep, so in the intro stage here, they're going to be playing as both X and Zero. There is an option to switch to Zero in this game, unlike X1 and 2, but you'll only be seeing him in the intro stage and a little bit in Doppler 2. So here's Mac. He's supposedly a friend, but then he turns into a bad guy. So he captures X and Zero's got to go save him.
Now, one thing, when you start the run, when you gain control of X, you actually can't buffer any movement. You just have to kind of time your dash. But right here, you can buffer your dash input with Zero, which is really silly.
Yep.
But Zero's a fat idiot, and you can't gap jump with him.
Yep. So Zero has 3 charge levels. He fires 2 charge shots off and then a saber. So both of them will be going in with 1 charge remaining and 1 saber, which is all they're going to need to take out Mac. All right, then we have control of X back here for the first boss.
Mao can be really annoying. He randomly punches. He'll either punch straight down, at an angle, or he'll just bob up and down. You want him to bob up and down as much as possible. And your green shots do 3, and the yellow shot here does 4. So you want to open up with a yellow shot. And unlike X2, dash lemons do not do 2 damage to bosses. They only do 1. Except for this boss. So
they do still work on enemies, though, so you'll be seeing them a lot in the stages to clear things out pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was wondering. Sometimes Zero lands in a pit created by Mao, and you lose a little bit of time.
Yep. So these guys are going to be going to Blizzard Buffalo first. This is the fastest mostly because of the dash boots in the stage, but also because of the ice upgrade. After this, we'll be following weakness route for a little while. So Buffalo is pretty easy to buster, and Ice Shield is pretty useful. So one really weird thing about the physics in this stage is that the slope jump mechanic is back from X1 and 2, but with the ice physics, all you have to do is face left, and you can get a slope jump anywhere. So
even on flat.
Even on flat. So they'll be using that a little bit here to platform a little bit easier.
And I don't know if you saw, but if they jump at all on an ice slope, they get a huge momentum boost. Also, the ladder gaps in this game are huge compared to X1 and 2, so hopefully no ladders or minimal ladders will be taken.
So news coming up on the boots here. Since you already have the dash, the boots upgrade is going to be a little different. It allows you to air dash both horizontally and vertically. So that's going to be useful in a lot of different spots, but particularly in the Doppler 2 elevator skip coming up. The vertical up dash is really useful.
Yeah. And not making the jump to the dash boots is actually really awful.
Yeah.
Big time loss, so I'm glad that they both got it. Saw Trogdor give a nod. So the CFO strat is also back. You really don't want Buffalo to turn around after you've taken him below, I believe, half health.
Yeah.
Because then he can shoot a beam that traps you in ice and waste a bunch of time.
Yep. Buffalo's AI is a little wonky. Whenever he turns around, if you jump, he thinks you're jumping over him or something, so he'll immediately turn around.
Oh.
Dang. Yeah, the CFO strat saves about 3 seconds here over just doing jumps and charges. It is a little risky though. So.
Trogdor playing it safe.
Yeah.
Very smart move.
Yeah, definitely. This is the more normal strat.
Okay. Good save.
In this category, there are a few choices you have for when you're doing Neon Tiger. I believe the two of these guys are doing the same route. You can do Neon Tiger second, third, or fourth. And since Neon Tiger is a really luck-dependent boss, it's nice to be able to get him out of the way early.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you don't use his weakness, you just buster him, so
Yep.
it doesn't particularly
You just
matter.
need the boots and the ice shield for the mid-boss, and you can do Tiger anytime after that.
Yeah.
So this stage is kind of annoying because a lot of the things here you're going to need ice for. Both the mid-boss and Toxic Seahorse are weak to ice. This doesn't come up as much in this route, but definitely whenever you do Tiger third or fourth, you really need to be careful with your ice conservation.
Yeah, if you happen to run into Bit in this stage, who's also weak to ice, then you're going to end up having to buster the mini-boss in order to have enough to do the quick kill on Toxic Seahorse.
So this mid-boss has no iframes, so it's really easy to just mash either buster or ice and do him depending on what route you're doing and a lot of other different factors.
Yeah. Trogdor with a nice kill.
Okay, so New will be coming up on the actual boss, Toxic Seahorse here. There's a very weird thing with this boss where his iframes are very bizarrely programmed where the higher up you hit him with ice, the longer he won't have real iframes while he's on the ground. So you'll see New and Trogdor both be hitting him with ice while he's in the air, and then whenever he falls, they'll be mashing ice into him to try to deal as much damage as possible.
Yeah, he stays in his stunned animation despite the iframes having run out, and if he's still in that stunned animation, he has no iframes. So when you shoot him with his weakness, they don't reset. Oh, New was one short from the
almost,
quick
yeah.
kill. The 2-cycle. Trogdor taking the safer, easier 3-cycle. Oh.
Close enough.
Close.
Yeah, good enough.
So now that we're out of the first two Maverick stages, Bit has a chance to appear in Mavericks 3, 4, and 5, and Bite has a chance to appear in 6, 7, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you ever watch somebody stream runs of this, they will only have splits for those 3 Mavericks and the next 3 Mavericks because he spawns randomly.
Yep. If you saw those empty boss corridors in Buffalo and Seahorse, those are the Bit and Bite rooms. They'll spawn in one of the 3 and none of the others. So hopefully after Catfish, we'll be able to tell who's ahead for sure.
Right.
Do I have time for a quick community donation?
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, we have a $40.06 donation from the one and only Justin Credible. Greetings, fellow X3 runners, New and Trogdor. Good luck on the race. This donation goes to the winner. However, if either one of you manage to get the one drill catfish fight, you claim this donation to your choosing, win or lose. Happy hunting. Wish I could be there.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Justin's a very talented runner of this game. And let's see, yeah, New's gonna take that sub-tank is like right there, so there's no reason for marathon purposes to not take it, especially with how dangerous the late game can be at, 16 health.
Yeah, this stage is a pretty scary one for the most part. There's a lot of things that do a lot of damage, and you have to take some intentional damage boost to do the mid-boss fast. So it's very easy to run out of health in this stage if you're not pretty careful.
And Trogdor gets bit. That can kind of throw a wrench into things. You might, if you take, too much damage, you might need to farm or
Yeah.
go out of your way to get a big health. Now, a quirk about the the Frost Shield is that if you kill an enemy with it, as long as it's not a flying enemy or an enemy on the wall, it will drop health, either large or small, but it's guaranteed. So you can stop and farm really quickly on the drill tanks.
You also saw Trogdor didn't, even though Ice was Bit's weakness, he didn't use Ice all the time. This is because you don't actually want to kill Bit and Bite. You don't want to last hit them with their weakness. If you do that for both of them, you'll fight a completely awful boss in Doppler 1 instead of the much easier God Car Machine. Killing one is okay, but it does waste an explosion time. So you want to be last hitting them with Cluster.
Actually, fighting Press Disposer is a faster fight than God Car Machine, I believe, but the explosions for both Bit and Bite make it slower.
I think so too, yeah.
So new going into Tunnel Rhino. The thing about Tunnel Rhino in this game is he actually has a lot of different AI patterns, things he can do, like shooting drills and whatnot, but he won't do them unless you've died somewhere after the midpoint of the stage. Otherwise, he'll just do what he's doing now and just dash into the wall. Sometimes he can stop and skid, but it's relatively safe.
Yeah, stopping and skidding is actually pretty ideal once he gets below, I think, like half or a third, whenever he starts doing his desperation attack.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually hit him with acid while he's in that, so if he's just going back and forth in the center, that's the ideal pattern.
All right. Trog also ensuring he had plenty of health. Now again, remember that Trog looks like he's pretty behind, but Trog has fought Bit and New has not. And I believe an optimal Bit fight is somewhere 15, 20 seconds, something like that.
Sounds about right, yeah. Okay, so New's going into Tiger here. There's sort of a weird thing with the start of the stage with these dragonflies where you can sort of clip through one of them at the start. You don't have to wait for it to go to move out of the way. And then there's a mid-boss coming up where New will be attempting a one cycle on it. It's pretty precise. It requires some really good movement and some decent mashing. You need to get 5 ice shots off to take him out. Thankfully, you can get 4 almost all the time, and losing 1 doesn't waste that much time.
Another benefit of having done Tunnel Rhino for this stage is the second half. When you shoot a Tornado Fang, which is Tunnel Rhino's weapon, into an enemy, I guess its hitbox disappears for a couple of frames, so you can actually just dash through it, as you saw there. And that saves a negligible amount of time, but it's still nice to have.
Yeah, drills aren't super useful for combat, but they're really, really nice for platforming, being able to distort enemy hitboxes and get through them.
Okay. So we won't know. Nice, that's the one cycle. Very nice. We won't know who's ahead until Catfish is looking like New's going to get bit in Catfish.
Alright, so the actual Tiger fight here is a little bit weird. The way Tiger works is he will block any charge shot if he's on the ground and not doing an attack. So the strat here is you want to mash lemons into him, and then while he's doing an attack, you want to be charging and hit him with it before the attack ends. Because another thing with Tiger is his iframes will also reset anytime he changes pose. So if you're mashing lemons at him, you can usually get 2 pretty quick hits off here.
It looks like New's getting a pretty ideal pattern here. Oh, he got a
charge.
slash. Spoke too soon.
Once you get him below about half, about the same spot as any other Maverick, he'll start doing his desperation charges, and he can do them as much as he wants whenever he wants. He can sometimes not do them or just chain them together. It's a very annoying boss in RTA.
Yeah. What was that, 2 for New?
Yeah, not too bad.
That could be a lot worse than 5, 6. He can just keep going. So something that Trogdor kind of just showed off there, in this game, when you release a yellow shot, or yellow charge shot, the shot actually, the first frame it's out, has a giant hitbox, like much larger than it looks. So at the peak of your jump, you can hit Tiger if he's on the wall.
Here he goes.
All right,
Nice. Two. Not bad.
two for both.
Yeah. Okay, so New's going to be coming up on Bit here. He'll be fighting him.
The nice thing, especially you'll see in this stage if you watch, multiple different runners of this game, is that, with Frost Shield and Tornado Fang and just Buster and lots of other, weapons, the weapons in this game are a lot more combat-based, so you can use them to, facilitate your movement in different ways, just whatever you're more comfortable with. Like I believe Trogdor just Bustered that guy, and I believe that New did a Tornado Fang and just jumped through him. And generally comes down to preference.
Yeah, there's a lot of different strats, and it's really cool to watch different runners, like you said, and compare their strats. All right, so New's going into what I would consider to be one of the hardest platforming sections in the game. There's these enemies that are sort of just littered everywhere, and New's going to be using a combination of Ray Splasher and drills in order to get through them all.
And the annoying thing is that if you hit them once and you break them, they actually do this regeneration animation, and they're invincible while they do that. So I believe they are.
Yeah, I think so.
So that can get really annoying really quickly.
All right, so New's coming up on Volt Catfish, who is the second really RNG heavy boss in this game. The way Catfish works is when he's above half health, he'll just jump around and do Triad Thunders and stuff like that. As soon as he falls under half, he will jump to the center of the screen and start doing his Desperation attack. Whenever he's doing that, the only way you can hit him out of it is with his weakness, Tornado Fang, which is very slow. So hopefully New didn't get the best Catfish luck there. You ideally want to keep him from jumping to the center as late as possible so you can keep hitting him with Buster. Because as you can see on New's screen there, drills take quite a bit of time to hit him with.
There's a quirk with his AI where I believe if you're standing behind him, he will jump at you. So you want to abuse that right before you hit him under half health.
Yeah.
So you get as much time to shoot charge shots into him as possible.
Yeah, it can be very dangerous, though, because he does do a fair bit of contact damage, just like everything else in this game. So you want to be ideally full health going into that and then be taking a bunch of damage boosts while he's just jumping into the wall.
Right. And the other thing, I mean, we kind of glanced on it, but if you use a weakness on a boss, they have more iframes than if you were to just hit them with the Buster. And so in most cases, it's optimal to, if you're going to use the weakness on them, to open with a charge shot.
All right, so New's entering Crush Crawfish here. This is the 6th stage, so we may or may not be seeing Bite here.
This is also a stage where they will be going to Vile's secret stage. Okay, we've got Room of the View.
We've got Bit here. Bit's weakness is Tornado Fang. He also has one other that I don't know off the top of my head.
Spinning Blade, I believe.
Maybe. That could be. So New's going to be doing the exact same idea as Bit. He doesn't want to last hit him with Drill. So he's going to be going for a no pause strat here, where he won't have to pause and cancel Drill. He's going to be trying to time the drills. Doesn't look like he got it. Yeah.
It's a 1.5 second time save, something like that. So it's not the end of the world.
Okay. And then both runners will be entering Vile stage here. Vile's important because beating him is a requirement to unlock the Z-Saber in Doppler 2. So you need to actually be last hitting Vile with his weakness in this fight, which is Ray Splasher.
And it's routed such that you'll use 4 Buster shots and then all of your Ray Splasher ammo. And if you there's ways to cancel out of your Ray Splasher before it actually hits him if you air dash too early or if you take damage. So I don't know if they'll take it safe by dumping another charge shot into him or what.
Yeah. So the first phase of Vile here is pretty easy. He'll just keep trying to punch you. So if you just stand right in front of the wall here and just jump, then he won't ever hit you. Okay. The second phase is a little bit more difficult, but there's no luck involved with this fight. You will always do the same thing every time.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward fight. It can get annoying if in the right armor phase, if he hits you, then you move back because then he charges at you and then starts punching again. But it looks like they both got out of there pretty successfully.
So both runners finishing off Vile here. This enables them to get the Z-Saber in Doppler 2, which is going to be used on all of the refights and Sigma, so that'll save a lot of time.
Yeah, if you don't kill Vile with his weakness in here, you have to fight him in Doppler 2, and the mid boss that kills Zero will not be there.
And there's the short escape sequence here, and then we'll be back to Crawfish.
It's a pretty straightforward movement, and you really just want to, especially at the end, do some lag management by trying to get dustless dash jumps.
Yeah.
As you can see, it gets really laggy. 27 for Trog, and a 28 for Nu.
Nice. Those are both very solid times.
Yes.
And just going through the stage, you can just see how powerful Triad Thunder is. It's one of the 2 best weapons in this game, and you can use it everywhere to save a lot of time. You can also get multiple uses out of one if you press the fire button. I believe it's 5 times before it runs out. It'll flip over, and you can do that up to 4 times to get a lot more mileage out of one Triad.
They're going to be abusing Crush Crawfish's iframes. When you use his weakness, he will have, just like, or similar to Seahorse, the iframes will have run out, but he's still considered stunned, I suppose, so you can mash lemons into him. Oh, when Trog got caught. You do have to be careful, though, because if Crawfish hip checks you, you can take a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
So that was a really great fight from both of them. I think
Yeah.
it was a 2-cycle, even with Trog's flow. Very nice.
Yeah. 2 is optimal, 3 is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is Gravity Beetle. This is a pretty straightforward stage with a pretty straightforward boss fight. Is there anything to talk about on that stage?
Spinning Blade's awesome.
Spinning Blade's pretty good, yeah. It's
Now
a
that we
really
have-
strong weapon.
Now that we have it, yeah, these I believe they're egg cannons or whatever. If you come into contact with them, they do 6 damage, and it takes, I believe, a charge shot and 2 lemons to kill them. But with Spinning Blade, if you hit him with both Spinning Blades, then it kills him instantly. Trog getting some sick gap jump. Nice recovery.
But yeah, this would be a really good time for donations if we have any.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, we have plenty. We have a $222.22 anonymous donation. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. And a no comment $150 donation from Tony. That is Toeknee, not Tony. We have an $800 donation from Dugan. I always loved Mega Man X runs, so I thought now is a good time to donate. This donation goes to Kill the Animals. It is a speedrunning marathon, after all.
You're having some trouble getting this. Those jumps are kind of tricky. You have to kind of go out around the...
Yep. Just like in X1 and 2, you have 7 pixels to kick off the wall, and you can auto-turn as well if you're within the 7 pixels. So,
All about timing that jump press.
yep.
Trog looked like he had a pretty good outside section.
So Nu's up to Beetle here. This boss is incredibly straightforward. It's pretty much just hit him with his weakness whenever his iframes run out. The only RNG element is whenever he decides to do a charge, he goes invincible for slightly longer than you'd be able to hit him otherwise. But other than that, it's just use his weakness.
And, of course, open with a charge shot.
Right.
So coming up, we've got Blast Hornet. That stage can be pretty tricky. At the beginning, there's a little elevator climb, and you need to jump pretty far from the wall and then up dash. And if you're really good, then you can get a little Iceless-esque jump.
Yeah, it saves very minimal time over doing the up dash, but it looks really cool, so that's definitely worth going for.
And there's somewhat of a setup.
Yeah.
Newland seems taking it safe, though.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. I don't think I've ever gotten those jumps. So he's going to be swapping to Acid for the mid-boss here. He takes 5 Acid shots, I believe? 6, okay. We mentioned this earlier, but in the same vein that Frost Shield drops health whenever you hit a grounded or ceilinged enemy, Acid does the same thing with ammo. So you can guarantee ammo drops if you're ever low on ammo for something.
And the other thing that a little quirk that it has is that you can aim it and direct it either up or down or just shoot it forward. An annoying part about that mid-boss, too, is that you really need to wait and shoot when his iframes run out.
Yeah. Whenever he bounces, he gets hit whenever he bounces, but sometimes if you hit him too early, he'll still bounce anyway, which makes it really annoying to miss a shot on him.
And it can be kind of dangerous. I mean,
Sure.
You can take, as you see, New lost half of his health bar. But there's enemies at the end of the stage you can use Frost Shield on if you really are worried about health for the Hornet fight.
Yeah. So Hornet's weakness is Gravity Well, which we have, but they're not going to be using it. Like Countdown said, weaknesses in this game are generally bad because they cause a lot more iframes. So we're going to be using Spinning Blade on Hornet, which does a decent amount of damage, and it has very minimal iframe cost. So
Yeah, it does 2 damage as a non-weakness weapon, which is pretty uncommon in the X series.
yeah, Hornet can be scary though. He does a fair bit of damage, especially his Stinger attack.
The Stinger attack is something you really have to stay away from.
Good fight from New.
So, it may look like there's a bit of a difference, but this race is far from over.
Yeah.
The Doppler stages are quite perilous, all of them, including the first one.
All right, so like we mentioned earlier, what you do to Bit and Bite influences how Doppler 1, or in particular how the boss is. Since both runners killed neither Bit nor Bite, they'll be fighting God Car Machine at the end of Doppler 1.
And if they do the strategy against the mid-boss, they will be at 8 HP or less, and that means that they will die in 1 hit from God Car Machine. New getting the sick gap shot. My favorite
awesome.
strategy.
Yeah, this section looks really scary. It's actually not nearly as scary as it looks. All you have to do really to not die is extend your dashes as much as possible.
And not hold the jump button for too long, or you're going to hit the spikes.
Yeah.
So coming up in this mid-boss, I believe it's like a charge shot and 2 lemons, or 2 charge shots.
On the mid-boss? A charge shot and 2 ice. Isn't it?
No, I'm confused now.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, they're going to be using a charge shot and 2 ice. But I know there is an alternate strategy. He does a ton of damage, contact damage, and they're jumping over him because Zero is holding up the spike ceiling, and X will automatically walk over to Zero after you kill the mid-boss. So you want to be as close to Zero as possible because X's walking is slow, of course. That is, of course, at the cost of your health, and puts you at 1-hit KO status on God Car Machine, so
Yep.
you have to be ready for that.
Okay, so he's coming up on the boss here. God Car Machine only has 2 attacks. One of them, well, 2 that you'll see in any percent anyway. One of them is he'll throw his fists out and try to catch X. New will be dodging that one if he gets it by jumping on the wall and just kicking over. The other one is a sword swipe, which can be up if you're kicking the wall or not. You can just dash under that one, though, as long as you see it coming.
This fight can be really awkward, too, because Ray Splasher, as you can see, kind of shoots in different directions. And, you know, if your positioning is off or he's still in iframes when the shot hits him, then you're going to miss. So positioning is important. And New had a really great fight.
Very scary fight, though.
Yes.
Like, only 2 attacks, but both of them do a truckload of damage, so...
So we've got New going into Doppler 2, probably the most dangerous stage in the game. There's an elevator segment he'll be skipping. These red guys that do 8 contact damage.
Yeah, this stage is probably the best example of dynamic gameplay in X3. If you have not killed Vile, then this stage will be destroyed and not have water in it, and you will also be fighting Vile instead of Volt Kuragil at the end of it. So New swapping to 0 here. He's going to be taking 0 through the only boss door in the game that you can take 0 through, which is the boss door for this mid-boss Mosquitos. And assuming he does okay here, the mid-boss will kill 0 and grant X the Z-Saber.
F.
So the Z-Saber is sort of the super weapon of this game, akin to the Hado or the Shoryu. The major differences are it only does 16 damage on contact, and you don't have to be at full health to use it. You just have to charge up to tier 2, which is really nice. It can also be used to platform, which you'll be seeing here. Saber Neons work almost identically to regular Neons in X2.
The main difference is you can press shoot while holding jump, basically. While with a normal Neon jump, it has to be a perfect input.
Oof.
He's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
Now he is.
Nice. Good save. Yeah, that saves about 50 seconds to a minute, I believe, if you get it optimally. So New definitely still save time overriding the snails. But yeah, like Aki said, Saber Neons are significantly freer than regular ones because you don't have to time the input at all. Just hold the jump one.
Nice.
Beautiful.
All right, let's go, boys. So Kurtdale has an incredibly weird hitbox, so it's something you really have to like work out and practice because you can very easily just bonk into him and take damage, and at the HP you're at, you don't want to do that.
Yep.
Because you use up about 8 HP to do the elevator climb optimally,
Yeah.
so taking damage there is bad.
Okay, so New's into the refights here. Refight order is going to differ heavily depending on the runner. You want to do Blast Hornet first, and then after that, sort of whatever you want. Most of these bosses are going to get Z-Sabered, but there's a couple that are going to get some different strats on them.
You want to do Blast Hornet just because his capsule's closest to the door, and then after that, it just every time you beat a Maverick, it spawns you in the middle of the room, so it's kind of equidistant, pretty much.
Yeah, if you're low on health here, you don't have guaranteed health spawns, but you do have the vending machine in the center, which will pop out either health or ammo every time you hit it. If you Z-Saber it, it'll give you a 1-up, but that's not really a huge deal in a speedrun.
Well, it can be, actually.
It can be, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
If you've died twice and you get to the refights, then if you game over, you have to do all of the refights over again. So if you really need a health, then you can savor it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So especially in a race situation. These guys don't really have to worry about that, though. They're pretty good at this game.
Okay, so New's entering Seahorse here. He's going to remember, Seahorse has the weird mechanic where if you hit him with his weakness high enough in the air, he won't have iframes when he lands. So Nu can abuse that and hit him with the Saber twice while he's in iframes to instantly kill him.
Yep. It'll do 16 damage on one frame, 16 damage on the next frame, next, but he'll be dead after 2 frames of contact. So that was really good, and it's actually really tricky to do. So
Yeah. The timing is really hard to get down. You'll be seeing a similar thing on Crush Crawfish, but that one's much easier.
Oh, Nu with the sick pattern from Tiger. Neon Tiger is actually incredibly frustrating in the refights to hit with the Saber.
Yeah.
'Cause the Saber is technically a charge shot.
Yep, he will block Sabers, so. Yeah, you saw Trogdor do Beetle there. There's a little bit of RNG involved in the refights, especially Beetle, where he can rainbow across the screen twice if he wants to and waste a couple seconds. But the RNG is mostly minimal in the refights outside of Tiger.
And similar to how Nu killed Seahorse, you saw him do that on Crush Crawfish as well. You can just Saber him while he's in his stunned animation, but not in iframes. And then he takes 16 damage a frame.
I think the rest of the refights are pretty self-explanatory for the most part, so if we have any donations, now would be a really good time for them.
We have plenty. We have a $150 donation from Sharif, 180, and this is a little crowd interaction one, so I'm gonna need y'all's help here. I'm loving all the runs and had to leave work early to watch the Mega Man X block. Thank you for doing this and being awesome. I'll donate another $100 if everyone in the building yells, "What am I fighting for?"
We're fighting for...
Beautiful. Thank you. We have an anonymous $150 donation. Love watching games done quick. Thanks for everything you do. Frames have family too, and therefore let's kill those animals. An anonymous $200 donation. Greetings from Germany. Keep up the great work. Those Germans really, really know how to throw down for GDQ. We have a $150 donation from Kiyomi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. First time getting to watch live. Found out about this a few months ago and have already watched hundreds of hours of runs from previous years. Keep up the good work.
So one thing we forgot to mention, actually, when you Saber, X is stuck in his animation for a little while, and especially in the elevator climb, and after the first Saber in each refight, you might see them switch to a weapon really quickly and then switch back. Switching to a weapon regains control of X and kind of cuts the animation short, and that's really useful and makes the elevator skip possible.
So news coming up on Dr. Doppler here. You'll notice he's carrying a charge into this fight, which is actually going to be really handy for Doppler, because Doppler has a shield that he'll put up whenever you fire one charge shot, or just anything, really. If you hit the shield, he'll start regenerating. So Nu's going to dump the charge shot left to trigger Doppler's shield, and then hit him with the Saber after it runs out.
I was hoping Trog would get the one laser. All right, very nice. All right.
Okay.
So, coming into the final stage, Doppler 4 here. Pretty much everything in the Sigma fights does 8 or more damage. And so 2 hits and you're dead, pretty much. So that's mainly the reason they got that sub-tank. If they need to, they will be using it, especially on the Kaiser Sigma fight.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America is pretty straightforward, though, just 2 swipes.
Yep.
And his pattern's the same every time.
Yeah, you can bop him on the head quick because his shield will only block things in front of him. So the way the Saber animation comes out, you can just tap him on the head.
And if you're familiar with X3, you know once Sigma's dead, it's not quite over.
Yeah, so we've got Kaiser Sigma here, who's probably the scariest boss in the game with how much damage he deals.
And he's huge. I mean, he takes up 40% of the screen.
Yeah.
And his hitbox is only in the head. So, good luck to the both of you. All right,
Nice.
Nu's out. You saw Nu purposefully bonk into Kaiser Sigma. The missiles do, I believe, 10 damage.
10 or 12, something like that, yeah. All right, so Nu just has the lava climb to go then. Trog coming up on Kaiser Sigma here.
Nice.
Very nice. And time is coming up here for Nu. Time will be as soon as he loses control of X, and we'll let you know when that is.
And time for
Time
Nu.
for Nu.
So the escape segment here isn't too scary as long as you are at the very top right of the screen. You'll see he kind of goes towards the wall to try and get you off if you're not prepared for it. But
The
as long
lava
as
still only does 1 damage, though, so like, it's pretty tough to die. Time
that's
for Trog.
time. GG, guys.
Great runs, guys.
Flawless Doppler 2s. And no deaths on Sigma. I'd say we made out pretty all right.
Definitely a success, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Let's hear it for Nu and Trogdor. Y'all can do better than that. Come on. Woo! Let's hear it for that whole incredible Mega Man X block.
GG's, boys. It's a big day.
It's a big
Sure is.
day.